Good morning. Welcome back to the Kauai Farmacy. We're here in the gardens. Here's Doug.
Aloha. Welcome back. We are here in our upper garden today, and this is designed as a permaculture garden. So the idea being that it has enough diversity and is planted in a way and strategy that it can sort of take care of itself. So today we're going to meander through the garden. I'm going to point out some plants to you, and some we're going to go into a little more depth than others. We have here some lemongrass, which you'll find in almost all of our blends. Certainly an herb that's so cleansing and great for fevers and overall antibacterial, antifungal. Again, in almost all of our teas you'll find some lemongrass. Some gotu kola for some ground cover under the tea tree or melaleuca here. The gotu kola are great for the brain. You'll find this in a lot of our teas and a tincture. Great for the brain, calming of the nervous system. In Ayurvedic medicine, they talk about how 2 leaves a day keeps the doctor away. So at least that's what the Indians tell me. So and it has some mint interspersed in here as well, some garden mint. And then again the melaleuca, which we make a hydrosol out of. Probably our most powerful antiseptic that we have here on the farm. And we have probably about 6 of these trees. So hydrosol, we steam distill the plant material. So as we kind of lightly walk through here, some Tulsi basil or holy basil. These are the African basils, really powerful antibacterial. And so we'll use this both on our skin as well as in our teas. Calming of digestion, calming of respiratory, really one of the main pillars of the farm and a pillar of Ayurvedic medicine as well. We're going to walk lightly because we just planted some lemon balm starts. So you'll see some small lemon balms. We're going to try and create some more ground cover underneath the cacao zone in here. So I'm going to kind of watch out for the lemon balm. And to my left here we have some turmeric that's just starting to sprout back up after kind of going into hibernation over the winter. It becomes digging season or harvest season for our ginger and turmeric, for our root medicine. You'll find ginger and turmeric again in almost all the blends. Probably the best liver medicine we have on the farm, great for reducing that inflammation. Again, we harvest this root, so this is the turmeric. We have about 6-ish months before we harvest the turmeric again, or can begin harvesting turmeric, but the bulk of the digging season begins is kind of like January, February, March, those 3 months for both ginger and turmeric. We love our turmeric, but soon we're going to have some delicious edible flowers coming off the turmeric as well. So you can see the lemon balm here, and we're just going to scoot this direction.
Lemon balm right here. And where are we headed to right now?
So I'm bringing you back to a little comfrey zone that's planted underneath our cacao. So we have a lot of cacao trees, and you'll see we're feeding the cacao trees the pods. These big pods, after we take out the beans, we'll take the outside layer or the shell and feed it back to the plant for compost. It really loves to eat those outer shells. So what do we have here? We have our comfrey that we wanted to talk about today.
All right, look at that.
So Alicia's with us. Alicia's behind the camera today.
Good morning, happy to be here. The rain just stopped.
She's definitely experienced with comfrey, both in application as well as personal use, as I am. We use comfrey in the gardens on so many levels. We make a compost tea and feed it back to the gardens. We use it to keep the gardens nice and cool, to keep the soil broken up and loose underneath. The root system, I've been told, can grow up to 10 foot in its taproot. So we're looking at a plant that's maybe 3-4 feet tall and growing, like I said, 10 plus feet deep. So it's grabbing minerals. It's infamous for a mineral called allantoin, which mimics bone marrow and is a huge bone healer. So the warrior plant, aka the warrior plant or knit bone, people refer to it also as the miracle plant. And you can see with this plant mimicking that spinal column. So when you take a big dose of comfrey, one thing you learn from the comfrey is you're gonna take that big deep breath. And so often when we have a major injury or trauma, it's that prana or that breath that we just need to circulate, and it's that simple. But we're caught up in the that shortness of breath, and it's that shortness of breath that doesn't promote circulation, and the chi gets stagnant. And when the chi is stagnant, you can't heal sprains and broken bones and pulled tendons. But if you can get that breath, then the circulation comes in, and it's that prana. Again, it's also calling in the water. The same way it holds water in the soil, it also calls in the water to your body. So when you do take a big dose of comfrey, another thing you experience, correct me if I'm wrong, is a lot of drinking of water.
Absolutely.
So often our tendons and our bones are breaking or being pulled because we're dehydrated, right? We're dry.
Absolutely.
So when things will crack because when they're dry. So the comfrey comes in and it calls in the water, trying to create a real supple environment that's much more in with repair and restorative nature.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna harvest a little bit of comfrey here.
Yes,
we use both the leaf as well as the root, and so typically we'll take the whole top zone of the comfrey root, and this has been in here for a couple of years now. So the root will kind of be this wide, but I'm just going to take a little small piece of the root. It always will grow back. Once you put comfrey in, you always have comfrey in. So I'm going to take a little comfrey out, and it's the root that's really the most potent. We have both the root and the leaf in the salve, and then we also have a root powder. And if you do break something or crack something, you'd want to use some root for sure. So I'm going to see how, take a little bit of the plant, not too much. See if I get some.
I love what you were saying about the breath, because during my injury, I know that what I found out was lack of oxygen and lack of water is what causes most injuries. So the comfrey bringing you back to that breath.
Yeah, and bringing you back to that breath. And so often, the other thing, it forces restoration, right? It forces you to rest.
Absolutely.
And healing is really that simple, right? The components are rest, hydration, and in this case, nourishment. So the minerals that this root is grabbing from deep, deep down. I mentioned that 10-foot taproot system. So here's the root, and for a long time this root was actually outlawed for internal use, and the reason for that was it's just a powerful cleanser. So we grind the root and we suggest it for external use. We do not recommend it for internal use. So internally it's going to cleanse the liver and the gallbladder. So what I'll do sometimes with plants is I'll chew a little bit and then just spit it out. And if I had a bad, say a wrist, I'd then put that root right on my wrist. And again, I'm gonna have that experience from just chewing on the root, just having a little bit internally. And what is it gonna do? It's gonna calm that breath. It's gonna put me horizontal most likely for a little while so that I get some rest. And in the case of using comfrey regularly, it is good to take breaks from it. But like all of herbal medicine, it is a practice. So the more you practice, the better you get with it, and the more you can kind of vibe with the vibrations of the plant, almost to the point where you start to think like the plant and you start to understand what it's trying to do for you. And as you get better and better in tune with the plants, you actually don't need to consume them at the same rate or the same level, because you're starting to appreciate the sensitivities of what they're teaching you. So again, this plant is one of those plants that has more and more to teach for sure. And it's one of those plants I wonder why it's not on the sidelines of every sporting event and in all the hospitals. Any break or sprain, it should certainly be the first thing that goes to the body, onto the body, I would highly recommend it way before ice for sure. It's just an incredible plant on so many levels. So,
could you give us a little bit of an idea how we would use the comfrey root and apply that?
So you could do what I just did if you had it, access to it, is just grind it up either in your teeth. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, I would, but I'm not allowed to. So, and
that's what they would do back in the day. If you had nothing, and right there, you would chew it up and spit it back out. And
we do a lot of chewing. You know, my family and I, when we're addressing each other, you know, we'll go out into the gardens, or when we're, you know, rolling through the island, you know, we'll grab plantain or blue vervain and chew wild. And so often it's just coming in contact with the plants that allows you to really calm and ground yourself. You know, so even if it was grass, I mean, it's that immediate of touching base with Mother Earth. So certainly the vibration of something like comfrey is next level, and the care and love that we put into it. So we have a salve as well, and you could use that salve to rub on your back or on your feet, or I mean, I always say your feet certainly need more care than most of us give them. Daily care, given how much use we put on our feet on a daily basis. So you can rub that comfrey salve on. I mentioned the root, as well as so the root, you make like a poultice. We have the root powder, add water to it, and then as you add water, you put the poultice on the body, and you would let that poultice sit at least overnight, and potentially longer depending how you're feeling. And that comfrey is, again, helping you rest. It's bringing big vitamins and minerals into the zone that's theoretically deprived of the vitamins and minerals, calling in the water to hydrate. As you drink tons and tons of water, you're going to hydrate and create suppleness in the area, the injured area. And then lastly, it's going to detox. So it's going to kind of fight, what happens if you were to sprain your wrist. When you sprain your wrist, it's all those Fritos and all that junk food, all the acidic food that's going at the wrist, and that's what creates the inflammation. So if you can, the comfrey's going to come in and try and break up that inflammation, right? Mm-hmm. Break up that acidic. And
naturally, you're going to be much more thirsty. I noticed that personally. I started to have a little bit of a mild headache, and then ding, 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 it went, drink water. And the minute I started drinking water, I immediately started to feel better. And I remember personally just feeling the cooling effect of having a lot of nerve pain and just feeling very extreme cooling right when you applied that comfrey. It's very cold, so it's very nice and really, really just that cooling effect is really beautiful for the pain.
So right, and that headache is, so often the headaches, it's always there, but the comfrey's just making you in tune with it. Mm-hmm. So you probably had a mild you were dehydrated.
Absolutely.
And when the comfrey comes in, it's saying, hey, realize you got this dehydration going, and it's going at your head. That's where that's the symptom.
Yep.
Right? And when the symptom comes in, you're like, ooh, I got a headache, and if I drink water, it feels a little better. So that's the body, that's the comfrey bringing in that self-awareness.
Absolutely. And I drink more water than I ever have before after starting the herbs and using comfrey.
And it's that hydration that's just, it's so important. And again, what the herbs are doing is they're allowing you to call in balance. They're giving you the information you need to bring in the balance, and that's what happens. Is so many more things come into your life as you utilize these plants. So we could talk comfrey, and I know many of you probably have stories of comfrey, of using our comfrey or others. We would love for you to share them with us. The more and more information that's shared out there on a plant like this, the more and more we can find it in daily street environment. I mean, to be able to walk into any pharmacy and get real potent live comfrey would be an amazing cultural phenomenon that needs to happen for us to be able to learn how to truly heal ourselves. So, absolutely. I mean, we're certainly talking what I believe to be the most potent bone medicine on the planet. So where is it? It should be everywhere, right? I mean, there's people
I second that. Yeah. Yes. Faster, the nerve pain relief was faster than ibuprofen for sure. And that was when I was like, all right, I got to figure this out. What is going on here?
So you could also take this root and I could put this back into the ground and it would grow nicely.
That's right. Multiply. Yep.
Absolutely. So again, the propagation, the exponential potency, people talk about renewable energy. this is renewable energy right here. So let's just walk briefly outside the garden. I have a tea here. You can see the diversity of the gardens. Just to briefly talk about our tea plant here, and we'll go into some further discussion of tea in a later one. But I use the tea, maybe not the yellow, but I want to get a nice healthy one here. So we'll use the tea to cool. So if there's any kind of fever in the family, we'll take the tea leaves and just, it pulls the heat out. It's amazing. It's a big positive spiritual plant in Hawaii, and known to protect as well as produce positive mana and
Absolutely.
energy.
The tea leaf is very sacred to the Hawaiians. I was very curious why it was back here and why it had been left. And so I'm very happy to find that out about that. I'm sure there'd be many, many Hawaiians who'd be very happy that don't know that tea leaf is for that use.
So again, tea, T-I, and tea as in, I mean, it's pronounced as in T-E-A, but it's spelled T-I. And again, fevers, like I said, any kind of fever, it just cools you right down. So the idea would be to take many leaves. You could clean them up if you wanted to. For my children, I do clean them up. So we just take something like this, and we would have many leaves layered back, and if there is a fever, it just adds immediate relief, pulling that heat out. And as it pulls the heat out, again, you're bringing calmness to the breath. And as your calmness to the breath happens, in most cases, my children can find themselves to fall back asleep and get the rest they need. So you can also put it on the chest and other parts of the body if you're looking to cool them as well. So we're just gonna kind of walk through a little turmeric path here in the back, and you'll see all the fresh turmeric sprouting. And I'm going to point out some plants. We have a little shama that's followed us, perched on the cacao tree. And we're going to come this way. And you can see the turmeric on both sides of me. The rhizomes are certainly expanding under the ground. And we have some soursop here that you'll find in our purity tea. This is a great colon cleanser and overall digestive supporter. And as we walk back here, you'll see the chaste. This is what our women's tea is designed around, the Vitex Agnes Castus. And we actually noticed some newbies coming up this morning as well. Alicia and I were very excited to see that. And really soon this plant will flower. We've had some other ones flowering on the farm that are a little bit more in the open. So this one's taking a little longer, but we'll be able to harvest those berries come end of summer. So this will be an amazing purple and white beauty really soon. We also have some coffee berries that are happening right now. So these are green coffee berries, and these will turn red. Harvest here will be autumn season as well, but you can see the flowers happening as well as the coffee berries. And we'll head through here, some edible or Polynesian spinach, or belly spinach, the tree spinach. And we have that in many of our superfoods. Got big iron, huge chlorophyll, such good nourishment. And again, we have some ripe cacao here, a couple of ripe cacao pods, which will get harvested soon. A few more coffees. And we've kind of come through the gardens, so that will be it for today.
Pop back through here.
Thank you for listening. Like I said, if you have any questions, we're going to actually try and do some more videos. So I know we were doing some a little while back. We took a break, but we're going to try and make this a regular thing. So we look forward to transporting you here to Kauai Farmacy. Thanks for listening. Aloha.
Thank you so much. Ahui ho, aloha.
Aloha.